and welcome to Tales from the Tips. If you're catching us on YouTube, make sure you give us a like and hit that subscribe button. Please leave us a comment below. We love to hear from you. You can find every episode where you find your favorite podcast: Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and of course on the Odyssey app. Just search Tales from the Tips, download, and enjoy. I'm DA. That guy's 15-year tour caddy, Mick Middlemo. And as we like to say, we're just a couple of guys that love to talk about the game of golf, both inside and outside the ropes, but we come at it from a completely different perspective. I know I'm fired up for this one. How are you, buddy?
I am. This is Masters Week. How can you not be fired up?
I am so fired up. So let's rip it and rip it.
There's only one problem with Masters Week when you're in Australia:
What's that?
that you have to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning to watch it.
Well, you were just telling me before we started recording that it's daylight savings time there in Australia, and the temperature has dropped clearly as I see you in a nice hooded sweatshirt. How are things going?
Well, as you know, I wasn't supposed to be here this long. I came here for 2.5 weeks, and now I've been here 3 months. Which, obviously I didn't want to be here this long, but my father hasn't been well, so I'm taking care of Dad. He's coming along nicely now, slowly but surely. We had a little hospital visit last week, but we've cleared that one up. But so yeah, Masters Week, which is obviously my favourite week of the year when it comes to any sporting event ever, and it's just sometimes it's a little difficult watching it in Australia. You've got to set the early alarms, but I will be doing it, and I always have when I lived here, so I'll be doing it.
I will say the buzz here in Georgia is electric, and just to let everybody know, we're going to do this a little differently than we normally do. We're going to talk a little bit more about the players and the actual caddies that are on the bags for our top guys. We're not going to dive all the way through the entire field, and we're going to give you an idea of who we're going to take to pick. You can always go back and listen in season 1 on the back 9, episode 14, where we give all of our majors picks. That's 6 of them, not just 4. We give 6 of our majors picks right now. Mick's leading the tournament right now because of his Colin Morikawa pick over my Justin Thomas pick. Though I do like how both of those guys are faring as we get ready to head into Masters Week. But before we get started, Mick, I do want to say congratulations to Carla Benyo Escarde. In her third start, she won the 2025 Augusta Women's National Amateur this past weekend. She shot a final round 68 -4 to win by 1 over 16-year-old, and the talk of the entire tournament, Astrid Taylor, the American. She's 21-year-old Spaniard. Mick, what is it with these Spaniards playing at Augusta?
What about the 16-year-old? That's impressive.
Oh, I'm telling you, if you watch any of these girls
16,
and
just think
score,
about that.
I mean, first round, I -9.
Just
And
think
these
about
aren't easy
16.
courses out over there. And then they go and you've got Carla shooting -4 at Augusta on the final round. Like,
Yeah.
that's no joke. I mean,
The
like, these
Spaniards,
girls
the
are just
Spaniards
whipping
tend
it.
to like Augusta National a lot. As you said, they tend to play there very well. The Spaniard golfers have an amazing imagination too, which certainly helps at that golf course. So yeah, I
I
mean,
was
it's just a phenomenal effort.
because I was gonna say, I mean, like, you've got obviously Jose, you've got Sevi, you've got Sergio, and you've got John Rahm. By the way, Sergio playing some really good golf right now, and same with John. And so these two guys are going to be in Augusta this upcoming week. I'm just looking at it and I'm like going, and by the way, just give a little sneak peek. One of the top AMs that is going to be playing in the Masters this week is a Spaniard. So
And I'm sure you know he's going to be having his practice rounds with.
Absolutely. I mean, and if he wasn't out walking the course this past week, I'm telling you. So let's get started. I'm going to ask you this. I know big tournaments. I know you and I've talked about it. You never caddied in the Masters.
No, did not.
When you were getting ready though for some of the bigger tournaments that you guys were qualified for, what was your preparation going into a week like this? Because there is an elevated level of prep that goes into this. There's anticipation, there's, excitement. And then also, did you sleep well? Were you nervous? Kind of walk us through some of the things that you had to go through when you were doing this.
Never really nervous. The first major I did was, I think it was the British Open 2012 at Lytham St Anne's, and actually roomed. We shared a house with Greg Owen, who I was caddying for. No real nerves. I mean, we prepped, and the problem with majors to me was just like some players would hype themselves up too much. You'd have your coach would come in, and your mental guy would be there, and you got an entourage there. And to me, it was like, are you trying to put pressure on and stuff like that? I mean, the game's got enough pressure on it as it is. But when your coach is there, and I hated coaches being there on big events and stuff like that, because I mean, you should be ready to go. You shouldn't be tweaking stuff, the week of the tournament and stuff like that. I wouldn't think so anyway, but you should be ready to go unless you feel like you're uncomfortable with your swing and you want your coach to have a look. I would be annoyed with coaches saying, we'll just try this a little bit, and I'd be like, well, why are we trying anything different? The week of a major or a huge event and stuff like that. And obviously there was people wanting tickets and things like that. Hey, can you get me tickets for this? And so you're trying to maybe help the player out by sorting tickets and things like that. And obviously the hotel rooms are twice as expensive as anything else, so you try to find a house to stay at, and it's just there was everything was a little more elevated for certain.
So really, it's a disruption of the routine.
It can be, yes,
Yeah, because
if you let it be. Some
normal tour,
players, yeah,
yeah,
some
because the
players
normal
would let
tour
that.
week, you don't have that. You don't have all that stuff going on typically.
No, correct. And you're planning in advance. You know that the accommodation is going to be way more expensive, so you try to plan, everything, in advance and stuff like that. But you try to take a lot of pressure off your player too. Again, I would be handling the ticket situation and all that sort of stuff. And
So, what were some of the things when you were as you were scouting the course? What were some of the things that what was your routine? What did Mick do to go through? Obviously, going through, you always have talked about you had to change your yardage books from yards to meters. What were some of the other things that you did to prepare yourself so you were ready in the event anything happened out on the course?
typically nothing really different, except if I'd never been. Well, obviously, I'd never been to the course before, so that makes your homework a little bit more difficult. Maybe you have to spend a lot more time walking the course, a lot more time scouting every hole differently, and certainly the greens, because you've never seen them before. And British Open greens are certainly can be a little more tricky. There's a lot more undulations and things like that. So it was you would have to spend a lot more time there, and obviously you wouldn't play the week before. So you could get there a little bit earlier to scout. That would you didn't want to get there on a Monday and only spend one day looking around. So I'd like to be there the weekend before and spend a couple of days, sometimes 2 or 3 days, really scouting out the course of what you needed to find, and par fives, and if you got yourself into trouble, where's the best place to lay up and all that sort of stuff, and run throughs, and like cutting corners and yardages, and it was very very complex. Trying to make sure you had the course worked out.
Well, it was funny because I was just, I'm watching, and as we're recording this, final round of the Valero, Texas Open is happening right now. Brian Harmon currently leads by now 3 strokes over Andrew Novak. Andrew Novak, I don't believe, is currently qualified for Augusta. So had should he come back and win, there's your now you're talking about you're not even completely prepared to even be in Augusta, Georgia, and yet now you're gonna find yourself there. So now there's even a bigger scramble drill from that standpoint. But looks like the Georgia Bulldog Brian Harmon through 14 is leading right now. So always a good sign to see the lefty starting to get into form before he comes home here to Georgia. Um, I think one of the things, and they're dealing with some weather there in Texas. The weather isn't going to be a factor this week in Augusta like it has in the last couple of years. Mick, it is going to be gorgeous here in Georgia. Outside of Monday, because the front that's going through right now outside. So if you guys hear any pounding of rain on my windows, you'll know there's a front going through. Outside of Monday, we got a little bit of a cool front, but temps are going to be in the mid 60s to mid 70s all tournament week long. 39 cent percent chance on Friday of some showers, but not really during the main hours. It's gonna actually, I think it's supposed to hit overnight, so a little bit of softening up the course. Um, Ready for this? Winds about only 5 to 10 miles an hour.
So scoring should be at a premium.
I was just about to say, mark your cards to go low. I think the boys are gonna have some fun out there. So perfect weather in Augusta. Um, so let's do this. I know you and we have already given our picks for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove Scotty and Rory. We're going to do tier 1, tier 2 and tier 3 players, okay? Now, this has nothing to do with their skill level. This has nothing to do. This is basically the odds given by, and I went through DraftKings and the folks at Bovada. So no sponsorships there, just letting you know what the odds are currently as we sit as of right now. Our top tier 1 players. Now, here's what I'm gonna do, Mick. I'm gonna give you the player and caddy. We're gonna
Hmm.
break down you don't have to go through all of them, but I wanna hear some of your thoughts on some of these guys as we go through this. I'm gonna read them all off, and then we'll talk about a couple of the guys, and then at the end, we're gonna pick a couple of guys. We already have our picks set on who we think are gonna win, but someone that we think out of each one of these tiers that's gonna actually have a chance to contend. And then at the end, we'll reveal if you took Scotty or I took Scotty, if you took Rory or I took Rory. We all should know. Just tune in episode 14. You'll know in advance. So let's start with the big guy, Ludwig Oberg with Joe Scavron. We've got Bryson DeChambeau with Greg Bodine, Colin Morikawa with JJ, John Rahm with Adam Hayes, Xander with his buddy Austin Kaiser, his college roommate. Justin Thomas, this is a good one. Matt Minster. Matt obviously was longtime caddy for Patrick Cantlay, who now has Joe LaCava, Tiger Woods' caddy. And since Tiger's not playing, guess who's on the bag? Brooks Koepka with Ricky Elliott, Hideki with Shota Hayafuji. And I think if it was last year, if I remember right, wasn't Hideki's caddy missing? Or was that the Olympics?
I
Can't
can't
remember.
recall. I don't
Something happened
recall.
where they lost a passport. Um, so it'll be interesting to see. Hideki's always strong in Augusta.
Loves it.
Jordan Spieth, obviously Michael Greller. We've talked about that team. Victor Hovland finally playing some better golf with Shea Knight on his bag. Joaquin Neiman. Now that is one that I do want to touch on. A lot of guys have Joaquin high on their board. Gary Matthews is Joaquin's longtime caddy. Shane Lowry with Darren Reynolds. Tommy Fleetwood. That's the key one. Now, Mick, did you know this? Ian is home back in Europe, ill.
Oh, I did not
So
know that.
Tommy Fleetwood is going to have the longtime Augusta caddy, famous Gary Moore, on the bag this week as he caddies for Tommy Fleetwood. Does Tommy Fleetwood break the seal? And we'll just skip all tournaments and just win his first PGA winning the Masters.
Well, he's
Uh,
got a caddy that knows every blade of grass on that golf course. So
I was gonna say if there's a shot at it, there it
mm,
is. A guy that we need to touch on. We'll touch on it. Season 2 is getting ready to come out. Episode 1, we talk about this guy's first time win on the PGA Tour, Minwoo Lee with Bo Martin on the bag. Yeah, Aussie Minwoo Lee, Willie Zalatoris with Ryan Goebel, and then the last in our tier 1 group, Akshay Bhatia. Now, I do not know, and neither does anywhere on the internet say who is going to be Akshay's caddy this week. It's either John Lamenti. John's been on the bag for several of his events, or you ready for this, Mick? And I did not know this until doing the research for this episode. Presley Schultz. Do you know who Presley Schultz is?
I don't.
Akshay's fiance.
Ah, there you go.
So, female caddy on the bag. She has caddied for him in the past. He's done very well when she's been on the bag. By the way, never played a lick of golf before picking up the bag. It's just a really good partnership, and I think you know that, from all of your relationships. It is a relationship, and,
It is 100%.
communication is key. So let's go through this. Who do you wanna start with?
I'll let you start. You go first, and then I'll go
Well,
from there.
you know what? I'm gonna start with Ludwig. I am a big fan of his. Obviously, I think we've talked about, his swing, his just smooth, gentle style. He reminds me a lot of the 1992 Masters champion Freddie Couples. He reminds me a lot of, Ernie Els. Um, with Joe Scavron on the bag, and I know he played really well last year. He came in second behind, Scotty. But he's been battling some injuries. Does Ludwig get his first major win?
I don't believe so. And I'm not saying well, you're 100% right. It's a beautiful, beautiful golf swing. It really is. He's got a great caddy on the bag. Joe used to caddy for Ricky Fowler. Good, very good caddy. I mean, all these top tier caddies are great caddies. Let's not get carried away. They really are, and it's just and it's about the relationship you build with your player and stuff like that. We can all do yardages. We can all we all know which way the wind's coming, and we can all figure out a yardage. These are the some of the more simple things, but it's the relationship you have with the player, and it's the trust that you build. And these top tier caddies, they all have that great relationship with their players and stuff like that. I don't think he's ready to break through yet because I think there's players in the field who I think will play better this week. But obviously, he's going to be right up there, that's for sure. Finished second last year. Said he's battled a couple injuries this year, but yeah, he'll be right in. He'll be in the mix, have no fear.
Well, you going back, you look at it, it was one bad swing on 11 last year that
Mhm.
basically took him right out of the tournament. He was battling, he was right there with Scotty. A costly left hook into the water, and then he's chasing the best player in the world after that, and you're not gonna, not on that course, you're not gonna escape, that one. A guy that's playing some really good golf, and I have not looked at the leaderboard down in Doral right now, Bryson DeChambeau.
Well, he
Um,
was leading. He was leading yesterday,
he
but I
was
didn't.
as of, yeah, through 36
Obviously,
last night.
obviously, as we record this, it was 6:30 in the morning my time, so I really haven't had much time to do a little preparation to see who is leading since we had our times. You and I had our times mixed up what time we were going to do this. But anyway, that's a different story. I'm awake. I'm here, but I didn't look. But he was leading yesterday, and Bryson DeChambeau is a player and will be reckoned with at Augusta,
Well,
especially if that driver's working.
yeah, because and let's talk about John Rahm. I mean, both guys are playing really good golf right now,
Yep.
as they head into, Masters Week. Obviously, John defending, a past Masters champion. I wanted to say defending, but, Scotty's got that one right now.
hmm
Um, what would you say, looking at John's game, is he ready to take the reins back? Do you think this is the week that John Rahm comes back?
The hard part about with the Live Tour is you don't really see a lot of it. So you only read scores. You don't really get to watch a lot of it. I mean, you can get on the app and have a look at some highlights and things like that, but you don't really look at it. But John Rahm's a hell of a player, and his preparation for these big events is first class, and so yeah, there's definitely no way I'm going to write him off. And there's another guy I won't write off is Patrick Reed because he loves playing at Augusta, and he's not the most well loved person in the world, but he shot a nice first round at on the Live Tour. I know he struggled on the second round from what I saw, but I think all these live guys would be absolutely ready to go, and yeah, it wouldn't shock me if one of them won it. No, absolutely not.
Well, and we mentioned him earlier, and I think I've got him down in either the tier 2 or tier, 3 player level, just, not only because of, where he's at age-wise Sergio, but if you look at John Rahm, Sergio, yeah, Patrick Reed, actually, Phil Mickelson's been playing some really good
Oh,
golf.
he
These
had a great first round.
former Masters champions are
hmm
always, should always be on your watch list, going into this one. The one guy that I really wanted to get your thoughts on, because I know he's back from an injury, Xander Schauffele. What do you think? Where do you
He's
where
the
are
man.
you at with Xander right now?
Well, he loves that golf course, and again, it's just the only thing that would get me is the is he 100% fit? Is he coming back from the injury? I would have to say he probably is, but even so, is there a little bit of rust there? There could be. I mean, it's hard to tell with these guys because it doesn't take long. If you once you come out of an injury and once you get back in the groove, it doesn't take long for everything to click. I mean, these guys are professionals. They're fantastic players. They all understand the mechanics of the game and stuff like that. So it can click very quickly. And he loves this golf course. I mean, he absolutely loves this golf course. So again, I wouldn't write him off. I mean, I don't think anyone's going to beat the player that I'm picking, which I'm not going to tell you yet. But I don't think anyone's going to. I don't think anyone's going to beat him. But they'll all be in the mix on Sunday. Have no fear. In the back nine on Sunday. That's when that's when it all gets going.
I was gonna say it can be lost on Thursday, but it doesn't. It takes till Sunday to win it.
Hmm.
Let me ask you. I want to get your thoughts on um, Shane Lowry. Shane with Darren on the bag. What is Shane ready to finally get a major?
I think they're all ready. I mean, again, it's how you prep for this week, and it's how you handle the pressure of Augusta. It's how if you do you how do you react if you start bogey, 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 and stuff like that? Is your week over? Obviously it's not. But how does that curtail? How does your caddy get you out of that funk if things like that happen? Yeah, he's ready to win. Absolutely, he's first class golfer. I mean, unbelievable player. Yeah, he's ready to win. Absolutely. Again, it's just I think all these guys we're talking about will be in the mix. They'll all be in the hunt. They'll be all in the top 10, top 15 on Sunday. I think it's just going to be. I think it's a great field. It's an awesome field.
Okay, let me ask you it this way then. Who do you think out of this group could potentially find themselves missing the cut?
No one.
Nobody. So,
Nope. None of those players we've mentioned will miss the cut. None of them.
um, Minwoo Lee.
Just the celebration of the Australian. I think he has as good a chance as anybody in the field because his short game is unbelievable. It's Phil Mickelson esque how good his short game is, and when you have that imagination around Augusta, you have every chance to really pull off to win that tournament because the short game around that golf course is key, and he has probably the best short game in golf.
Okay, so I'm going to ask it this way. Out of this group, and obviously we've pulled the two guys, number 1 and number 2, in the world out. Out of this, so instead of we'll do a little horse racing here, win, place, show. We already know who you have to win. Who is to place? Who would be a good runner up, number 2 pick, and who would be your 3rd pick? So out of this group, who do you got 2 and who do you got 3?
Well, see, I have a different player coming in second than anyone we mentioned.
That's okay. That's okay. We're gonna go tier 1. We'll go into tier 2. You're gonna pick one. You're gonna pick a couple guys out of each one of these tiers. So don't worry. You can't get it wrong from that perspective. So who do you got?
Who have I got to tier two?
Yeah. Well, no.
It's Xander.
In tier 1, who would you pick
Oh,
as a
it's
backup?
Xander.
Who is it?
Xander.
Xander. Yeah. I've got Shane. Shane.
Okay.
4 top 20 finishes in the last 5 events.
Hmm.
Playing some really good golf. I think he played a really good Florida swing. I think he's taken a couple of nice weeks off to get himself ready. And then obviously in a couple weeks defending down in New Orleans with his buddy Rory. I think Shane Lowry could be another one that finally gets over it. So let's go to tier 2 because this one is a group. Russell Henley, Terrell Hatton, Cam Smith, Robert McIntyre, Wyndham Clark, Corey Connors, Patrick Reed, who we already spoke about, Sepp Straka, Sergio Garcia, Tony Finau, Dustin Johnson, Jason Day. And the fact that I even put Dustin Johnson in a tier 2 group is unbelievable. Um, Hey, listen, odds don't lie, man. Odds don't lie. Brian Hartman, who could be your Valero Texas Open. Brian Hartman's odds for me to win, if he wins this thing this week, go drastically down. I think it's very tough to repeat at any point on the tour, let alone a Texas two-step and then fly your way back across and then play Augusta. Um,
Hmm.
Cam Young, Daniel Berger, Justin Rose, your guy Justin, Keegan Bradley, Phil, Sahith, Sam Burns, or Sunjay Im.
You've left a player out,
I have who? Who did I leave out?
Victor Hovland.
Victor's in tier one.
We didn't mention him.
Well, because okay, let's go back. Let's talk about Victor. You want to talk about Victor?
Yeah, well, if we had a mention, he's my pick to come second or third.
He's your
Absolutely,
okay. Well,
he's
he was
running a
in there.
place.
Yeah.
He's definitely running a place. He's got a great caddy on the bag, a good Australian, Shay Knight, who I know very well. Very good golfer in his own right. Very good golfer. Been with Victor for a long time, and Victor's starting to play golf. The way he won around Tampa, and
Yeah,
that's not
I was
an
gonna
easy
say
golf course.
winning the Valspar, and especially over Justin Thomas. I mean, those two battled it. I mean, he just played better golf down the
Yep.
stretch. Yeah, I like Victor. I know our boy Michael will be very excited to hear that you have Victor on your win card. He's gonna be mad at me for picking Shane over Victor. Neither of us have talked about Jordan Spieth, but that's okay. But let's go.
You're going to make a lot of money for finishing 20th.
True, true.
Yep.
Out of this group, Henley, Hatton. I know you're a big fan of Cam Smith.
Oh, 100%. He's an Aussie.
Um, well, I know that's kind of why I said it. The one guy that I've got my eye on is Corey Connors. Corey, has played. He's got. You ready for this? He's got 2 top 5 finishes in the last 6 tournaments that he's played. He's up here in the Valero now. Obviously, I the guys that are up at the top of the board are battling some bad conditions. My boy JT Poston right there as well. Um, but I really like Corey Connors right now. The way
You and
he's
me
playing.
both. He's that pick out of the tier two for certain.
Yeah, and
100%.
that's who I have out of the tier two. And not far from his President's Cup captain Mike Weir. Corey I think has a real good chance of winning. If I'm taking a lower seeded pick, I'm going there. Tier three. You ready for this?
Yep, ready. Roll it.
Tom Kim, Aaron Rye, Adam Scott, your guy, former Masters champion,
Owes
Billy
me
Horschel,
$200.
uh, Davis Thompson, JJ Spawn, who played a phenomenal players, lost out obviously in the playoff to Rory.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Fitzpatrick. Now I'm shocked that I have Matt down here in tier three.
He
Um,
hasn't played very well lately.
he hasn't played, and he didn't play very well in TGL either. Maverick McNeely, who's playing some great golf right now. Michael Kim, Cam Davis, Ben On, uh, Christian Bezadenhout, Denny McCarthy, Harris English, who we could. And hold on, we've got a little bit of announcement at the end of this. We may have somebody connected with Harris joining us here next week. Lucas Glover, Max
Playing
Homa.
well.
Can you believe Max Homa down in tier three?
And Lucas Glover's playing good golf at the moment.
He's
He's
playing really.
rekindled his career. He really has.
And we'll touch on Lucas here in a second. I listened to. By the way, he's got a phenomenal show on PGA Tour XM satellite radio. The Lucas
Very
Glover
funny
show.
man.
Uh, Extremely funny. By the way, get off my lawn segment. Go back and listen to that one. Hysterical on that one. Lucas Glover. I would love to put him on my bingo card. My only hesitation, and he said it himself, if the conditions aren't playing long enough at Augusta, his shot into some of these greens, well, some of these guys are hitting 7, 8, and 9. He's hitting 4 and 5s and 6s into these greens, which is that kind of gives you a pause. Nick Taylor, my boy JT Poston, Tom Hoagie playing some really good golf
He's
as
playing good
well.
golf.
Taylor Pendrith and Adam Schenk. Out of that group, who do you have?
Harris
Uh,
English.
Harris English. I looked at that. I looked at Harris. I'm going
100%.
Maverick McNeely.
Yeah, good pick. But Harris English, I mean, He won Torrey Pines this year, hard golf course, great
Oh,
player, and has the demeanour to win around there because nothing flusters him.
he
Nothing.
I was gonna say, he's got the demeanor. Another Georgia Bulldog, so can't go
Yep.
wrong with that. Um, I looked at it. I just looked at where he's finished.
Yeah, and it's not the greatest record at all.
Well, no, and that's the funny part. As I was doing my research for this, and you know how much I like to do research. Um, some of these guys just their track records. Even my boy JT. Now, I will say this: if you want a good odds pick, JT Poston to finish T30 or better.
Are we encouraging gambling here today?
Well, we're just using the odds to help shape the format of why we're picking why some of the guys are in certain tiers. We don't want to offend, make anyone
Should
feel.
we mention should we mention like a betting site just in case they want to jump on and sponsor us? Like
Well, yeah,
get on.
we did. I took all of our odds off of DraftKings and off of Bovada, so don't worry. I looked at two, just so
I actually love DraftKings. I do a lot of stuff on DraftKings,
there
except
you
when
go.
I'm in Australia. Except when I'm in Australia because I'm not allowed to gamble in the US from my Australian from my here in Australia.
You don't have an international account going.
No,
So I want to do this. I want to pick a sleeper pick, somebody that we haven't mentioned yet. I'll go and I'll tell you who my sleeper pick is, and I'll give you the reasons why, so
and
you
this
can
is
think
not
about it.
the. You're talking players outside of all the tiers that we've mentioned.
All the tiers, I mean, you could even pick one. I mean, I know you picked Victor. I'm going Sepp Straka. Sepp won at the American Express earlier in January. T10 at the Arnold Palmer, and a 14th at the Players. So, I love Sepp Straka. Um, I literally, I'm not going to say that I didn't. I might have put a few pennies on my boy JT to win at plus,
The love affair continues.
25, plus 25,000. But hey, you know, uh, there's a couple of them.
You have a crush on Justin Thomas.
No, no, no. Poston. I love Posty.
Oh,
I
okay.
got a chance now, and in fairness, out of everything, our guy Michael, who you sold your 2 iron to. By the way, Michael's been at the range all week. He told me that the 2 iron, while he had to have it regripped, is absolutely flushed. He is just killing it, and he wanted to thank you. So I'm just doing that on the national podcast for him on your behalf.
Very welcome. He's very
JT
welcome.
and Michael played on the same high school team back in
Okay.
North Carolina. So I had a chance to meet JT a couple years ago back at the when the FedEx Cup was here in Atlanta. We walked with his fiance at that time, now his wife, through, and his mom and dad through the rounds. So I've got we've got a connection to JT Poston. Love to see him win it, especially now that he lives down in Sea Island. So love to see a Georgia guy win that. But Sepp Straka is my guy as my sleeper.
Okay. It's a good sleeper. I'm going to come straight out of left field, and obviously it's going to be an Australian,
Of course,
and I'm going to go with Adam Scott.
Adam Scott. So he's gonna put another green jacket on.
No, I didn't say he would. I didn't say he'd put another green jacket on. I
You
said
just
he'd
like
be.
you like his chances.
I like his chances. He loves that golf course. He's been playing a lot of golf of late, and which is something he really didn't do. But yeah, he'd be my little sleeper. Definitely top five pick if you're having a bet on DraftKings.
There you go.
Um, yeah, that's
We
just throw it.
I didn't. You know what? Hang on a second. I might have the. Let's see if I've got the odds up over here. I got multiple screens up. That's the great part about working out of my office. Um, I get a little bit of those.
Well, you probably had time to set yours up since it was 6:30 in the morning when I started mine.
Literally though. Okay, so we said it earlier. Masters Week is my favorite week of the year. One, growing up in Michigan, it is the official start of golf season. Your leagues start
Agreed.
up. The weather starts breaking. You can get out. Yeah, it's still a little chilly. You may have to dodge a few little random snow bunkers here and there, but for the most part, uh, it's the official start to the golf season. Now here in Georgia, obviously a couple weeks ago, all the clubs had their quote unquote season openers. You've got a lot of the AM qualifiers starting to fire up. But Masters Week always for me growing up has been the start of golf season. So I've been doing research on this for this show for the last several weeks. So just this wasn't an overnight thing. You know this. I know you're playing a
Oh,
little
I
bit
know.
of.
You are the homework person of
You
our
and I,
group.
you and I've been talking offline quite a bit about what we wanted to do for Masters. We do have a very special setup at Twin Peaks in Augusta. We have a special announcement we'll make this upcoming week. We've got some interviews lined up. I know you're setting up some of your guys. Speaking of Harris English, his caddy. We're working on setting up a time to have him over if he can get away after the par three and the practice rounds there on Wednesday. We will be at Twin Peaks in Augusta, Georgia. Let me give you everybody the address there. That's at 277 Robert C. Daniel Jr. Parkway in Augusta. Come by. I get to say hi. Mick, unfortunately, isn't going to be able to say hi, but we will have him up on Riverside. So thanks to our friends at Riverside.fm, Mick's going to still be joining us, you just remotely. And I know it's going to be early in the morning, so we'll give him a few breaks so that he can go catch a couple of some shut eye, and he's going to be drinking his diet Coke. But
My
before
breakfast.
before we wrap up, amateur low pick. So we talked about Jose Luis Ballester from Spain earlier. He is one of the low am picks for the tournament. Evan Beck from the United States. Justin Hastings, Aussie. Hastings.
Well, you know
Uh,
who I'm picking.
Noah Kent and Hiroshia Tai from Japan. So Noah Kent, Hiroshia, and Evan Beck at plus 100,000. Jose and Justin at plus 75,000. You've got Justin. I'm going with the Spaniard. I love how
Yeah.
Spaniards play at Augusta. I think he will be sitting in the Butler cabin. Um, and so we'll get to the final part, our picks. And we made these months ago, just so everybody knows. Your pick for the 2025 Masters, three-time champion, Scotty
Scotty
Scheffler.
Scheffler.
My pick, and I know you made fun of me for it. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I truly, truly think that this is his year, and he's already got a couple of W's under his belt. Rory McIlroy. I think Rory gets the Grand Slam. I think Rory
Who do you
finishes
love
the
more?
job.
Who do you love more, Rory or Justin Thomas?
Oh, uh, man, I would have a blast hanging out with Rory on a regular basis. I think Justin Thomas out on the golf course would be an absolute riot. I kind of I think I'd love to hang out with Rory more. I think him and I probably have more in common than JT and I, but Justin reminds me of our buddy John Parla.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, I think he knows
I
what a
don't know if
good
that's
time
good
looks
or
like, and
bad.
he's not afraid to have them. Yeah.
I don't know if that's good or bad. Relating someone to John Parler.
All right. Well, listen, we had a great time. You missed Braves opening day. It was a lot of fun.
And
Finally
the
got a
Braves are
win.
playing good.
Yeah, we're not gonna talk about that during the Masters preview. But again, you know what? Your favorite Masters memory. What was one of your favorite Masters memory from all these years that you've been able to watch the Masters?
Watching Adam Scott win, the first Australian to win the Masters. That's one. And obviously the Tiger chip in was just probably the
Yeah,
greatest shot you've ever seen.
I was gonna say that has to be one of them. Mine is 1992 Easter Sunday. The Masters always brings back family memories for me. We always were at my aunt's house. for Easter Sunday. The whole family was there. We would literally flip between Masters and Red Wings playoffs. 1992, buddy. I was finishing up my junior year, and this one guy, he was the top ranked player in the world. Boom, boom. Freddie Couples got the job done. He was the top pick. So he had all the pressure. Two-stroke win over Ray Floyd. Um,
And had the luckiest break of all time.
and had the lucky and he says it, he even has said it. It's gotta be the luckiest break he ever had on 12 when that ball did not roll into Rays Creek. Um, that's my favorite
He
one.
had an Australian hot on his heels that day, Craig Parry.
That's right. Yes, look at you with your, now I will say the most heartbreaking one was Aussie Greg Norman when he lost his and he blew his chance to win the Masters. And I say that again, friends, family, neighbors. We had an amazing couple that lived next to us back in Michigan. Um, the Meads and Mrs. Mead was a huge Greg Norman fan. Mr. Mead was a huge member at a one of the country clubs. As a matter of fact, he was an amateur champion in the state of Michigan. And I literally think back to that day, how heartbroken she was when Greg didn't get the job done. But at the same time, um, it's one of those things. The majors, you always remember stuff, and that's the part. Um, Easter always reminds me of the Masters. I'm bummed that it's a few weeks later this year,
It is.
um, but it's always surrounded by family, and that's what makes the Masters so great.
Agreed. But the Greg Norman one was just straight. He ruined us. He broke Australia's hearts with a choke, and it was a choke.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm glad you get to be spending the Masters with your dad there in Australia. If there's a good silver lining to you being
It.
still there 3 months after being there on the 3-week tour, I'm beginning to think you're on Gilligan's Island. Can't wait for you to get back home. By the way,
I
we
can
do
tell you
have a
one
couple
thing
teams
about.
playing.
Let me tell you one thing. Gilligan's Island had more clothes than I did because I didn't come prepared. They went on a 3 hour cruise and they had more clothes than anyone you could ever imagine for a 3 hour cruise. But I came for 2.5 weeks and they had more clothes than I did. I can assure you.
We're gonna leave it there. So thanks for teeing it up with us. Follow us on Instagram, X, TikTok, and of course on YouTube. Check us out for all of our new episodes, our shorts, our video content. Um, we hope your drives are straight, your putts are short, and your scores are low as we tee it up on Tales from the Tips. Enjoy the 89th playing of the Masters. We'll see you soon.
See you, kids.